Hi, I'm Emily Merrill, and this is the long but edgy tutorial. So as you see here, my sectioning is from the middle of the recession to right in front of the ear. That sectioning is super important for this haircut. So be sure to do that precisely how I have it set up here on my mannequin. This is Vicky McMannequin. Okay, so I will be taking vertical sections and pivoting at the center point. I did complete the first right side of this section previous to filming, so now I'm taking you through the remaining left side. So the section is vertical and it is combed straight up and over in order to create a concave layer. And what that means is it is shorter to longer the opposite way than graduation. With each section, I'm getting my hair nice and straight and combed over, and then the top of the hair to be shorter and the length to be longer. So this is really the best way to create a lot of layering on a long haircut. Nice thing about this is the layers are very soft. It's not as textured as a typical or another kind of layering technique. So what will happen is the layers will tend to kind of melt together and not really take away from the length of the haircut. Okay, so as I pivot, I will begin to kind of show you what my sectioning looks like. Still vertical, still straight over as I circle around the mannequin. Up and over, and as you can see, I pivoted around that center point. So our model here asked for, she wanted something long and different, but still long, not a lot of layers, and something kind of edgy and fun. I know we all get those types of clients in our chair, and at some point you run out of ideas. So I created this look as just another look to have in our arsenal. As I continue, the outline for this section is round, and so my sections are beginning in the front of that hairline and moving back all to a stationary guide. Now the guide is pointing from the ceiling to the floor, and I'm in this technique, what I want to create is a nice shorter to longer outline. So I will be completing this side and moving over to the other side. Now I'm taking my guide from side one. I don't know if you could see it there, but I measured with my comb, and so I'll use that as a point of reference for the opposite side. So as you can see, my elevation is low. It's not quite zero, but it's definitely not going to create much of a graduation look to it. There certainly is some graduation inside of it. Okay, short to long, and eventually this will meet the opposite section, and the point is to create a nice rounded V in the back. So I'm kind of crossing over my first section just to do some cross-checking. I want to make sure that I followed all the way through on both sides. Essentially gives me an opportunity to cross-check here and make sure that I'm balanced. Again, cross-checking on the other side. So what I'll be doing as I move into the other section, this haircut is completely disconnected front to back. So I'll be taking this back section and clipping it away, out of the way, when I do the front section. Two different haircuts on the head. Here, this is where we get into that fun, edgy kind of look. So I'm taking a piece from the back section to use as a guide. I have her parted in the middle. Of course, you could do this on a side part. And I am taking the sections which are vertical. I've turned the mannequin so that they're horizontal, and pulling straight up with a straight cutting line. These are not concave, and that's on purpose. The front section of the hairline is so much higher, and there's so much less hair that a lot of times when I'm doing a long layer, you'll see that I'm using two different layering techniques. And sometimes that changes when I'm going from side to side too, especially if there's a deep side part. So with these sections, the second section, I over directed a little bit back, and now as I move forward, I am fully redirecting it all the way straight back to me. And what this will create is a shorter in the back, longer in the front, essentially like an A-line type of style here. That shape will determine my outline. My plan is that my outline, again, similar to the back section, my outline will somewhat mirror the layering. So as the back was round, so was the outline, and then it's kind of like a triangle, I guess you would say here. Triangle section, short to long, the outline will be the same. So as we continue through the other side, you'll see the same sectioning, same over direction, that first guide, and then the second section over directed a little, and then gradually more and more as I work towards the front. So I am picking up a tiny piece from the other side as a reference to make sure that I'm building the length consistently as I did on the other side. Again, that might be different if there's a side part. You definitely want to compensate for that to create balance. Although I could see many variations of this haircut that might include some asymmetry, which would be fun. Maybe I'll do that one next. So Vicky's a brand new mannequin, testing her out. It's okay. I don't love the quality of the hair, but it is a long mannequin. I do like the color. I like the face shape. I think that those things are important, especially when you want to display something beautiful that you create. All right, so I clipped those front sections away. I want to keep them completely separate. I'm going to do a wrap dry technique here and then a flat iron. So the first thing is going through and refining that outline. I want this, so the outline of this haircut is the focal point. It is the most important point of the haircut. It is going to catch the eye. It's somewhat different and unique. And so it's very important that I go through and refine as much as possible to make it as perfect as possible. Now that the hair is laying flat, straight down, I can really make a real crisp and clean outline here. The interesting thing about cutting on a mannequin stand like this is that there's no shoulders, so you see through. You see from one side to the other, which is a double-edged sword because you get to really see your symmetry, but also it has to be perfect. So I'm going through with the same sectioning as I cut the layers, and just going and doing a deep point cut because I really want these layers to melt in. I really don't want it to look like she has a ton of layers back here. Again, the focus is on the outline. So just enough to give some nice shape to it, still maintain the weight towards the bottom. You know, with this type of hair on a mannequin and a lot of our clients, it gets much finer towards the bottom. So we want to keep that as full as possible. Okay, so being a perfectionist there, which you have to with something like this. Now I'll be blowing out the front. I'll use similar, wrap dry, flat iron. And we'll get to really start to see the beginning of the shape come together. And you'll start to see the reason why that section was so important. And this is it right there, because we want there to be a perfect separation between the front section and the back. I may have taken the EDGY reference a little too literally because I really kind of went with that and wanted to create some real edges and points around here. Super fun for styling. I couldn't wait to get in there with a texturizing product and play around with it. Okay. So in a perfect world, I would have a much higher mannequin stand and be doing this line work at eye level. But we make do here. All right, so moving that back out of the way so I can see the front. Super cool part of using a mannequin stand. I mean, could you imagine being able to cross-check like that on a live client? All right. So creating that short to long length in the front and then adding this nice element right here of a double point. You know, kind of working with that loose see-through area we get just when we're cutting that part just over the ear, and just creating a nice new cutout. Really playing to that length of the hair and that outline. We'll be moving towards the front as well. So what is ending up being created here is a nice point in the front. Of course, you know, our model is not going to wear it directly in front of her face, but this is a nice byproduct of that layering and that outline that's going to make that front swoop to either side at any point we want it to. So I'm definitely playing with that a little bit. As I go through, I also need to make sure that each of the points, so it's hard enough making sure that a one length outline is perfect. This one I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different lengths that have to be perfect. But this is what's fun about hairdressing, is thinking outside of the box. Okay, more perfecting. I did use a light hairspray and comb it through. It really helps to keep that bottom length nice and flat and smooth as you cut. You know, when you flat iron hair, it tends to sometimes get a little too wispy, a little too loose. Okay, so just as we did with the back, taking the layers the same exact way, deep point cut, we want to kind of melt them all together. This isn't a haircut that requires a strong shape inside because it's got a nice strong shape outside. I love contradicting styles and techniques within a haircut. Okay. After going through and texturizing again, it's a good idea to check that outline. You never know how some deep point cutting will change things or help you see things after shaking it around. So using my mirror, checking from side to side, I'm going to refine this point here, making it a real triangle on the bottom, kind of an oblong triangle down there. Okay. If you could envision that pole gone, I will be kind of moving everything so you could really see through it and see what's happening. Checking it always, using my mirror. Now we're going to have some fun with some product. So a little texturizing spray. This isn't really the strongest texturizing spray that I've used. And so it's really just giving me a loose, wispy kind of look. I'm adding a little bit more of a paste at the ends because I really want to create that definition of those points back there. I'm just kind of picturing this on a live model, on a client, and how it will actually separate right at the shoulders there, and you really be able to see that outline. And so even though I cut Vicky with a center part, because of that triangle outline in the front, we can wear it any way we want. Okay, love that finished look. I could have so much fun with it, with styling. Think of how you can utilize this in the salon or with your own models and adapt it any way you see fit. So thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to subscribe to my channel to see more tutorials and give me a like on social media. Bye for now.